I think the first time I realized there was something really unique and special about Coro was probably during my selection day, which was in New York. And I think the experience of going through a process where you were asked to be quick on your feet and to respond and listen to other people and be asked really tough questions and sort of figure out how to answer them and sort of defend your position was really fun. At the time, I remember people saying that, well, if you're enjoying this interview process, you're going to enjoy the Coro experience. And sure enough, I think that ended up being what it was. You know, to be honest, I don't think that I realized how unique Coro was until probably 5 years after I left Coro. While I was in it, I just sort of felt like this was an experience for me to acclimate myself to LA, to think about all the different industries and jobs and possibilities were out there, and to connect and to network. But I didn't really realize that the skills that I inherited while I was inside Coro doing the group exercises, it didn't strike me as unique until 5 years later when I was in the work world again and started thinking, well, boy, this is exactly like an exercise that we did in Coro, where 5 different people have different points of view, and how do we build consensus and how do we get to a conclusion? And then I recalled some of the things we did in Coro and made me think, okay, that was really good to have gone through that experience before. I think being a good listener is an effective thing that I learned from Coro, is just listening to people's point of view, and then asking the right questions to sort of help understand where they're coming from. That's always been, I think, the key element that I've used, the tool I've used to help advance my career and my life at post-Coro. Well, it was funny. Right after I finished Coro, I started using the networking skills that Coro taught me, which is like, you know, if you're in LA, you're probably 6 degrees or 5 degrees separated from anything. And because I wanted to work in the entertainment industry, I sought out Bruce Corwin. And I said, hey, can I sit down and do an information interview with you? And sure enough, he was incredibly gracious and sat me down, and I told him a little bit of what I think I wanted to do. I didn't know, but I think I wanted to do. And he introduced me to a friend of his who was at the William Morris agency at the time. I took a meeting with her, she introduced me to a few people, and eventually that led to my first job in the entertainment industry.
And it's been like that ever since you've been in entertainment?
I've been doing the entertainment industry for 20 plus years now, more than 2 decades, yeah.
And you saw Bruce here today.
And I saw Bruce here today, yeah. No, I thanked him. I said, hey, Bruce, I don't know if you remember this meeting, but you were instrumental in me building and starting out my career. I think my fondest memories of my Coro time were actually the group projects. And I think one of the funniest things I recall back is the amount of fights that we would all get in about seemingly, you know, I mean, it was hypothetical situations, but we took them very, very seriously. And it was great because it was a fun way for all of us to learn how different we were and how we all reached our decisions and how we came up with answers and fixing problems. And it was a really good way to learn about everybody's strengths and weaknesses and how we complemented each other. Yeah, I mean, I think once you go out in the world and you work in industries where there's a lot of homogenous viewpoints and people with similar backgrounds and stories, you don't get the opportunity that I had at Coro, where you got to meet people from different backgrounds and experiences and learn how to coalition build, even with people who had different values and views than you. And I think that aspect of what Coro was able to bring me has helped me a lot in my career, because we're always encountering on a set, you know, various different kinds of people, from the executives at the network in the studio, to the writers, to the crew, to the costume designers, to the craft services people. Everyone plays a role in this, and we all have to build towards we have to sort of agree that we're doing and get on the same page of what we're doing. And so I think learning about how those differences matter really helped me in my career. I think the meaning for Coro to me is on one hand, it is about, you know, giving people opportunities and internships and practical hands-on experience of what it means to be out in the world. On the other hand, I think it also means developing one's sort of ethical leadership skills and learning. And I think for me, that's the part about Coro that I got out of my training here and the time that I spent with my fellow fellows. Learning how to fortify my own viewpoints and defend them, and then challenging people by asking the kinds of questions I wanted to know, because I wanted to really understand where someone else was coming from. You know, I think Coro is more important today than ever before, even 20 years ago when I started the program, because I think in some ways technology has allowed us to divide ourselves even more. You know, like we follow the people on Twitter that we want to follow. You know, we only listen to our friends' opinions on Facebook. And I think what was unique about Coro was we were forced at the time, pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter, to listen to people who had different points of view than ours and reconcile them with our own views and allow us to sort of come out of that with a new point of view possibly. And I think that's what Coro is invaluable for today. And I think training the kinds of leaders that can build Los Angeles, Southern California, and California in the future with its diversity, its richness, you know, we can't afford to divide people. And it's been so easy to divide people right now more than ever that I think Coro has a special place to play to fill that gap. I think those perspectives are really valuable. And I think, you know, technology and sort of metadata and data-driven stuff and metrics have sort of forced people to pick lanes. And I find myself all the time just sort of, you know, getting my news and information from the people I follow on Twitter or my friends on Facebook. And it's not, I think, until you start to realize the other points of view out there, that in a way that isn't, you know, I think that the difference also is that, you know, fights on Facebook or Twitter wars are really impersonal. But when you're in a room with 12 people and someone's challenging your point of view in front of you, you're forced to then really either listen to them or defend your point of view and maybe come to some consensus about where we're at in a healthier way. And I think that's one of the things that the human aspect and human touch of Coro is really important in a technological age. You know, I think Coro has proven over time that it's an indelible, you know, sustaining organization. And I hope that it can continue to attract and train the kinds of leaders that are needed in this country right now. I mean, it's again, that kind of worldview, that kind of empathy and compassion, I think that Coro provides and helps people, the kind of empathy that people then kind of can build themselves after Coro is something that we need, I think. So I would just say keep Coro going and keep doing what you're doing, because I think it's really important for the future of this region and for this country. My name is Quan Phung, and I was a Coro Fellow in '93, '94.